Week 4 is in the books, and we're getting into the thick of things for this college football season. Questions that linger after week 4. Is Tennessee for real? Is Clemson back? Can Louisville win the ACC? Can BYU really win the Big 12? Only on Overreaction Monday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, aka downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir. Welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction Monday. I am the governor of college football, and with me is a guy that pulls a lot of strings behind the scenes. It's the one, the only, my guy, Iowa Hawks and that's own. D now, how you been, dog?
It's another day in paradise. I'm just excited to be back. Had to step away for a little bit, but I'm back.
Hey man,
I'm
I'm
excited.
I'm happy. I'm happy you're back. Let's get into some of these rapid fire one-liners. Box score edition. I always love checking in the chat on Saturday, seeing what you guys will talk about. But JMU dominates UNC 70-50. It looked like a basketball score, bro.
Yeah. Just one word is wow. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had talked before. We thought JMU had a good chance to pull this upset, but I think none of us saw him dropping 70 on
No,
UNC. So, yeah, just wow.
absolute
Burnett balled
freak.
out. I'll say that too.
Uh-huh. He certainly did. Like I just kept seeing highlights. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And just looking at the scoring summary, it just it looks like an entire like 3 or 4 games. Just looking at the scoring summary alone. Florida gets a much needed win over Mississippi State, 45-28 in Starkville.
Yeah, much needed. It was nice to see Mertz back. He kind of played his game, easy completions down the field
Mm,
for 3 TDs. It does suck that Sharpen and Booth both got hurt for Mississippi State.
mhm.
But you got to see a little glimpse of the future with Michael Van Buren coming in. Had a pretty solid game. I think he was like 8 for 13, almost 100 yards, if not over. So I thought he did all right for spot duty.
I agree with you. It was good seeing Lagway. Good to see that Florida is utilizing both of the quarterbacks. And I mean, let's be frank, Billy Napier is coaching for his career.
And
It's
he's
deeper
in that
than
rough
losing
stretch
a
right
job
now too.
at
So
Florida. But like, yeah, he's coaching for his career, and the brass has put it out there like, hey, you gotta win, bro. If you don't
mhm.
win, you were pretty much gonna fire you. They had a meeting that was supposed to be secret, but they let the world be known it wasn't secret. They had a meeting. The booster said that they have the money, so it'd be interesting to watch that situation. Arkansas defeats Auburn 24-14 in Jordan here. That game was an ugly game if anybody was able to see that one.
Yeah, my one line is rough to watch. I think in
Yeah, for
our
sure.
group chat,
Mm.
Boomer, I rather Auburn threw a pick, Arkansas threw a
Yeah,
pick,
yeah, yeah. It was just
Auburn
like
threw
back to
another
back.
pick. Yeah. Um, so it just shows that neither school is going to be towards the top. They're going to probably be if towards the middle, if not at the bottom. So it was just ugly.
I I do think there was a moment in that game where I saw Sam Pittman use a great coaching vehicle. Taylor Green was just playing uncharacteristically, like just bad, like turning the ball over, just didn't seem like his sharp self. And we're talking about a team that's a couple plays away from being 4-0. They should have beat Oklahoma State, but the same could have
Yeah.
been said, hey, Auburn had a chance to win this game as well. So interesting to see what Arkansas does the rest of the season. The 3-and-run one, we know Sam Pittman is coaching for his career as well. So it'll be interesting. Florida State gets its first win of the season over Cal in a 14-9 win.
Yeah, this was another rough one. I will say it wasn't as rough as the Arkansas defenses played pretty decently
Mhm.
here. My one takeaway is with playing time, I see Mendoza actually being a pretty decent quarterback for Cal.
Mhm.
He's just got to fine tune his game, limit the errors. Uh, and for Florida State, it's I know Big Dave's a fan of the channel, so I'm going
Yeah.
to try to put this politely as I can. Um, but it might be time for a shakeup. I don't know if DJ's just not comfortable in the offense or what it is, but it may be time to introduce a little competition, maybe relight that fire if it's gone out.
I would agree 100%. I thought with Alex Atkins being back off his 3-game suspension for a recruiting violation. Hey, Mike Norvell gets the head coach gets to worry about the offense and defense. Alex Atkins can purely focus on the offense. I thought they'd give it a spark, but the fact of the matter is they lost Trey Benson. I'm running back. The talent isn't the same. Jaheim Bell lost him at the tight end position. Yeah, Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman on the outside at wide receiver. That production just, had it. They try to kind of fine tune it and get it
Yeah.
together, but I think that there's just some teams in the ACC. I think we're starting to see parity this year. So I hope
Yes.
they get it together, but I don't think they will. Miami defeats USF 50-14 to improve to 4-0, and I think they're ranked what, seventh in the AP poll now. Yeah, seventh.
Yeah, seventh. My one word is chalk. You kind of just expected this.
Mhm.
Even though USF coming into the season was touted as one of the best Group of Five schools.
Yeah,
I
they're,
know
they're
I'm a
breaking they're
fan of
breaking my heart.
Brown,
Mhm.
um, but it's just another week of Cam Ward showing why he should be Heisman front runner. What was it? 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty easy. Made it look
Yeah,
pretty easy.
he did, and he's playing phenomenally. BYU dominates Kansas State 38-9.
Yeah, this one was pretty shocking.
Mhm.
I was following along with BYU's X account and St.
Mhm.
Bill Snyder on X. If you know what's going on with that channel, you know
Mhm.
why. But BYU showed the perfect script of how to shut down Kansas State.
They did.
They eliminated the best they can the run offense. I think Giddens may have almost had 100, but outside of
Mhm.
that, Avery Johnson, they made him beat them through the air,
Mhm.
which I don't believe Johnson has developed yet in his game.
He hasn't.
So it was just a perfect defensive script. And I
Yeah.
will say it was nice to see Kleinman hug BYU's coach afterwards and saying,
Mhm.
like, yes, it sucks, but if I'm going to be happy for any other coach in the country, it's BYU's coach just because he's a stand up guy. I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
good moment there.
Yeah. That was pretty neat. And then finally, Colorado wins in epic fashion, 38-31. I know you were in the audience earlier, but I actually fell asleep on this game. It was like, I think I remember the play. It was like 3rd and 31 from the 4-yard line. I said they had no chance in hell. I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to bed, and they won.
Yeah, so I flipped over to this one after watching the Iowa game, thinking, okay, Colorado's
Mm-hmm.
going to lose, and then it was that fourth and forever.
Mm-hmm.
At that Hail Mary as time expired, and I'm like, oh damn,
Yeah, right.
this is
Right.
why Shador might be a top five pick right there.
Mhm.
And then to go on into overtime and beat him, um, I think it was kind of nice to see Prime's team show some grit and some toughness.
Mhm.
I know
They've
they're
been
kind
they've
of
been
touted
lacking
as
that.
just yeah, they're all
Mhm.
flash, no bite.
Right, for sure.
So they showed some toughness, which I think they're going to need over the next coming month when they play the better Big 12 schools.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's been a lack of toughness. I believe it's been a lack of tidiness. I don't like the way the program is ran. I don't like that Prime is in these homes, in these recruiting visits, because what you see inside of the home, what type of home, what type of house this kid was raised in, how does the parents present themselves, how does the student athlete respect the respect he has for his parents. There's so much you can see with these in home visits. So I think they could be more tidy. I think they could shut up a little bit more and play ball. And but it was good to see them win. Like I said, it's one of those things where I'm very critical of them, but I am rooting for them. I hope people never get that confused. But like I said, I'm
Hmm.
very critical of them. So let's get into this next segment. Norman, Oklahoma was the site of a game that had tight billing in the country as the Tennessee Volunteers defeated the Oklahoma Sooners 25-15. Dina, what were your biggest takeaways? And can this Tennessee Volunteer team win the SEC? Because I know some people are starting to believe that they are the class of the conference.
Yeah. So first off, Tennessee takeaway was holy shit, all the weapons they have.
Right,
They
for
got
sure.
Nico who can do it through the air and on the
Mhm.
ground. They got Samson who's just running over people. And then they got a plethora of receivers on the outside,
Mhm.
and then their defense is just stout. And then on the flip side is what the hell is going on with Jackson Arnold?
Right.
He came in. so highly touted, the next great Oklahoma quarterback.
Mm,
But he's been inconsistent all season. His completion percentage is less than 60%.
mm,
Granted, yes, they have injuries on the outside, but it's Oklahoma at the same time. You know, they got some young kids who can come in and make some plays.
for sure.
Um, so, yeah, those were my two takeaways. As for the SEC, I am kind of on the fence right now, just because a lot of them haven't played stiff competition outside of
Very true.
Tennessee, Georgia,
Hmm.
and we're kind of in that section of the season where they're going to start to cannibalize each other.
Oh
So
yeah,
we're going to really
absolutely.
see who the big dogs are. Um, I know coming into the season, I was all on the Ole Miss train.
Mm,
Um, Nino got me into Missouri as well.
mm,
But I think the more I think about it, if healthy, I got to go with Texas. I think they're the most complete team. With Quinn there, he's got the receivers on the outside, the running game, and then their defense. Uh, like to me, they don't have any one player that kind of stands out more than the others. They're kind of doing it all as a team. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Texas. My outside number two is Bama. Unfortunately, I
yeah,
think they beat Georgia.
I'm with you. I think Bama beats Georgia, and I think they make a statement this week. Uh, but as far as the SEC, I think it's so tough to call because a lot of them schedule smart for their non-con schedule to kind of
Hmm.
Texas did play Michigan, but I've been more intrigued, if I'm being honest, by Big 12 football than Big 10 football because the SEC hasn't hit the pinnacle of their schedule yet. But
Yep.
a lot of that starts this week. I am going with Ole Miss. I believe they are the class of the conference. What Trey Harris is doing right now, he hasn't really done it on a national scale yet. So a lot of people don't know they got their first, if we want to call it a test, first true test this week in Kentucky. But he's putting up monstrous numbers, bro. Him and Jackson Dart, they have this thing going on. So I'm going with them. But Texas, for the better part of 2 years, I've been called a Texas hater, and I think some of that is warranted. I think I deserve to be called a Texas hater because I refuse to see how good this program was. Huge believer in Sarkeesian. I was unsure. One, they had success last year, but how would that success translate to this year when they're playing more physical teams, when they're playing the Michigans of the world, handle them easily. When they play some of these,
Hmm.
tough teams in the SEC, how would they fare? But right now, anybody who's saying Texas is the best team in the country, I have to say, hey, ain't nothing I can say about them. The eye test
Yeah.
shows they are the best team in the country right now. I think me personally, I just like Ole Miss. I like the additions that they was able to make in a portal. They addressed they knew what they had offensively. They addressed some of the areas of concern defensively. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback this year. So I really like Ole Miss, but I think Tennessee will be right there in the thick of things. We just got to see once they get to the core part of their schedule.
Yeah.
Wow, so that is crazy. So next, we're gonna head to Ann Arbor. We just talk about Michigan in a game that Vegas and most of mainstream media had USC winning, but this is why the games were played. Michigan wins 27-24, and this was a game that I called actually. I told people to be wary of that Oklahoma and Tennessee game. I told people the betters to be wary of this Michigan game because I felt like Michigan was just find a way. It was ugly, but they found a way. D, now what were your biggest takeaways from this game? And through 4 weeks, who do you have winning the Big Ten?
Yeah. To be honest, I was one of the guys. I was talking to my buddies before the
Mhm.
game that I think USC kind of was going to run away with it.
Yeah, Jalen said the same exact thing.
But it was kind of nice to see Michigan go back to their bread and butter. You
Mhm.
knew that was kind of the way they were leaning once they decided, hey, Orgy's our QB now. They just leaned on the big guys up front in their defense. They ran the ball down USC's throat the entire
It looked
game.
like the Penn State game from last year. If you remember that game where they
Yep.
bit and and they had a guy in JJ McCarthy at quarterback, but no, it was run left, run right, run middle, stop us. We'll tell you to
Granted,
play.
I would have liked to see it with Donovan Edwards, but the emergence of
What's going
Mullins,
on with him?
I don't. He's a number two
And I
back.
know
I
you're
don't
you're
think he's
you're
an
in
alpha
that
back.
area. What are you hearing? What's going on there?
Uh, Honestly, I'm not hearing anything. I just don't think
Really?
he's performing. But it was
Okay.
nice to have that number two back come
Hmm.
with Mullins, who they converted from a linebacker, which is
Hmm.
crazy because Same thing was Haskins. He was recruited for defense and ended up
Right.
making his way to the league as a
Mm.
back.
He's a running back. Yep.
Um, but defensively, they had guys like Mason Graham, who is a potential top 3 pick in this
He's a
upcoming
dog.
draft.
Hmm.
Subtle plug: I'll be doing a mock draft this week, so check that out. Um, manhandle another potential first round pick, Jonah Monheim up front. Uh, Mason just dominated him the entire game. Um, you got guys like Grant up front there, just able to, even though he did have a big game, they were able to stop USC's running back when it needed to.
Hmm.
And then you got dogs like Johnson on the outside with that pick six to seal it, fighting through adversity, his injuries there as well. Um, and through 4 weeks, I think it's kind of a 3 team race, as it always is. It's going to be Ohio State. I think Penn State is going to be up
Hmm.
there. They've kind of flown under the radar.
Yeah.
And then Oregon. I think it's going to be
Hmm.
Oregon. They just have, when they get it clicking, I think it's going to be, no one's going to be able to stop it. You got to catch them before they can get it clicking, is the thing.
You,
So those are my 3 picks for the Big Ten.
you spoke on the cannibalization piece earlier, and I know Nino thought I was crazy. Uh, in preseason, I mentioned that like Rutgers has a pretty decent schedule. Some of their tougher games against Virginia Tech, and I mean, the score was closer than the game really was. But you spoke on the cannibalization piece about the SEC. I think the same can happen for the Big Ten. I do not think we'll see two juggernauts in the conference championship. I just don't. I just think the way that the schedule lays out, I can certainly see an Iowa playing one of those juggernauts. I can certainly see now Illinois got a tough schedule coming up. But if they were able to, continue their winning ways, I can see a way. I can see a way for Rutgers. I don't think we'll get those two big juggernauts. Like I don't think we'll get a Michigan Ohio State game. They play each other too late in the season. I'm not sure if we'll get a Ohio State and Oregon, which is the game I'm sure most people will want to see. What is your take on that?
I absolutely agree. I think if Ohio State is going to drop well, first off, I think they're going to lose to Oregon. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that now. If Ohio State is going to drop a second game somewhere, it's going to be the 5th of October after Iowa has 2 weeks to prepare for them,
I
or
like that take.
it's going to be Michigan again. Um,
Mm,
and then, I mean, Penn State, I'm not 100% sure on their schedule, but I'm pretty sure they play the big dogs, so
they
they'll eat
do.
themselves there.
They got a date
Um,
with Illinois this weekend.
yeah, I mean that may even be a
Mm-hmm.
drop from right there. Like Jalen said, Luke's
Mm-hmm.
playing fabulous for
I'm
Illinois right
surprised because
now.
I didn't have high belief in him after what I seen
I
last
didn't
year.
either.
Because
Yeah,
they
I mean,
Illinois, the score didn't look like it, but last year Illinois could have beat Penn State. We all remember a couple years ago when when Illinois beat Penn State just running the ball. It was Chase Brown left, Chase Brown right, Chase Brown middle. They was able to beat
right.
them. I thought Lou Altmaier could have gave them a little bit more, but now he seems to be making quicker decisions. He's taking off a little bit more. Where did that come from? I didn't see that before.
Yeah, no, that's a new wrinkle to his
Mm,
game, which I think is helping him develop a little bit more confidence, knowing he doesn't have to make a play with his arm every single game.
absolutely.
He can escape the pocket, maybe get him a handful of yards. Uh, so he's more comfortable in the pocket, a little bit more patient, which, I mean, they could knock off Penn State this week because of
They
it.
could. And I like that
But
receiving
yeah,
core, man, with Pat Bryant and Zakari Franklin. I
yeah,
love
that
that
one's kind of
combo.
flying under the
Mm,
radar.
mm-hmm.
I will say if a team is going to come out of nowhere that no one's talking about, well, I guess no one is talking about, it's going to
Mm.
be Rutgers.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think their defense has improved tremendously.
Mm.
Their running back, I'm not going to butcher his name. I think he's a top 5 running back in the country.
Yeah,
Uh,
my guy or and I mean
yeah,
this is isn't this like Graciano's like recipe? Remember when he had Ray Rice and Brian Leonard back in 2007 when they took the
mhm.
Big Ten by storm? It was either 2006, 2007 when they took the Big Ten by storm. They have that type of team that kind of matches the identity of the head coach, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, and they got the Greek kid from Minnesota, who since coming from Minnesota, he's really upped his game.
Mhm.
showing he could be a late round pick
for
too.
sure.
So they would be my dark horse.
I love it. So it's interesting that the Big Ten football is so interesting to me this year. I'm not as interested in the SEC, which is weird. And yeah, Jayla said, I remember when we had that discussion about Rutgers before the season started, and I'll never forget. I was at ACC Media Days, and I was talking to the gentleman who he was a SID. I forgot his name. And I'm so sorry for forgetting his name. He was a SID at South Carolina, but now he's the head, like the director for the people who do the credentialing. They credential every school. They credential all the major events. He said, "Have you checked out record schedule?" And we was just talking football. And he was just enjoying this conversation. He was like, "You checked out record schedule yet?" I was like, "Nah." I checked it. I said, "Holy hell! Did this guy just give me a nugget?" And that's when the wheels started churning. I'm like, "Yo, Rutgers, I don't know what they are, but they have a chance with that
I mean,
schedule."
they don't play the big dogs. They play
At all.
USC at
They
the
don't play
end,
Penn State,
which
do they? They don't play Penn
nope,
State, Oregon,
and they
Ohio
play
State. They
Illinois.
the top five teams in that
No,
country in that conference. They don't even play.
only ranked teams they play is USC and Illinois for the rest of the season. So I
Mm.
mean, they could,
Yeah,
they could, and yeah, it's
right.
an
And we could be
experienced
we could
roster.
be talking about them, playing in a conference championship. Be like, well, how did they even get here? But the schedule odds was in their favor. So let's switch gears here. Dina, you're killing it. I'm loving a lot of your takes here. So we've seen some really impressive victories on Saturday. And I wanted to have a candid discussion about Clemson. Impressive victory on Saturday versus NC State, a team that I pegged as a really good team, a team to watch prior to the season. But we've seen it even week one against Western Carolina. Something isn't quite right there. Every time we seem to count Dabo Sweeney out, it doesn't go as planned. Clemson is starting to look extremely sharp. But can they win the ACC?
Like you said, NC State's just not the team any of us
Mm-mm.
thought. Granted, the 35 points they scored, I think 21 of them were against potential backups for
Yeah.
Clemson in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that
So
game was
take
over in
that
the
with a
first.
grain of salt.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like Nino was saying in our chat, is it really Dabo or is it really Garrett Riley
Mm,
finally being able to get his offense to click?
mm.
Because watching some of the highlights from it, you could see some of the TCU offense
Oh,
that
you
led them to
could.
the championship.
Mm-hmm. With Max Dugan, Quentin
And
Johnson.
Cade finally,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Cade finally showing, oh shit, this is Cade Klubnik, was a top high school recruit.
Right. This is the guy that we've been hearing about and we've been
Exactly.
wanting to see.
Exactly.
I
So,
think you're
I
right
mean,
though.
he's saving his stock too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Game by game with the offense starting to click. It was a nice surprise, finally seeing Cade start to click. But I think who wins the ACC comes down to the November 2nd game when Clemson plays Louisville,
I
because
like it.
I think Louisville, like I said to you and Jalen, I think
Mm,
Louisville goes to South Bend, beats them by double digits. Um, the Miami game could be a toss up, but it's going to be a hell of a game. I
mm.
wouldn't be surprised if Louisville shocked Miami there.
What?
But either way, they're going to have one
Mm.
conference loss or undefeated still um, when they go to Clemson. I guess BC too could be another tough one. They play them right before Clemson, but I'm still sticking with the November 2nd game against Louisville. Will decide who plays Miami in the conference championship.
I think that's a phenomenal take. We look at Louisville. Think about their last two games last season. They got embarrassed. Their last two games. They got embarrassed in the Florida State game because they lost to Florida State, without
Yeah,
Jordan Travis. And then the USC bowl game happens.
another
And
loss coming out.
yeah, and then it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And then here again, they're getting a guy that we thought, Tyler Shuck. I thought he was a has man. I was like, yo, why would you go get him in the portal? It was kind of my same thoughts. I share similar sentiments when they went and got Jack Plummer last year. So here, I don't know if it's Brian Brom or Jeff Brom. I know Jeff Brom's the head coach. Brian Brom is the offensive coordinator. Should we start calling them quarterback whisperers? Because you see these guys who have like renaissance years, and if Tyler Shuck, his entire career has been injuries. If he's able to stay healthy, this Louisville team is rinse and repeat, and they're right here in the thick of things here again. Jeff Brom should start getting some consideration for Coach of the Year. I know right now he's probably gonna go to Mario Cristobal if we were all to, especially with how things ended at Oregon and some of his coaching mistakes that he had at Coral Gables last year. but Jeff Brom should certainly be in that discussion. I do love what you said about Clemson, though. Do you think Dabo might have had some humble pie after that Georgia loss and how people were like starting to call for his job? Like you went and got this guy Garrett Riley. He was one of the big fish, and something just wasn't resonating with the offense.
I'd like to think he did,
Mhm.
just from what you see on camera of Dabo. Um, but yeah, I mean, the offense just looked atrocious versus Georgia. Granted, it is Georgia, um, so I don't know if it just took him a couple weeks
Mhm.
to kind of figure out, okay, we can do this with the offense, um, and then it finally exploded against a team that's struggling in NC State. Well, I mean, last week against App State, they had a good outing too. Um, so I mean, yeah, I'd like to think he did, and went to Garrett Riley and was just like, fix it.
I've always
And
looked at this year's quarterback class as a class that, hey, I think this is the year somebody's gonna make like that Kenny Pickett jump, or we remember the Cam Newton jump, where there's a guy that you're not paying attention to, at the start of the season, but by the end of the season, you say, "Whoa, is this kid gonna be the kid?" Can Cade Klubnik make that type of jump? Can he be the guy that we're looking at yours, we're looking at Shador, we're looking at Carson Beck, we're looking at all these guys, but then you look at the intangibles of what Cade Klubnik had. He gives you the throw threat ability. He gives you when he has time and he's protected, he can sling it. Can he make that type of jump? Also, breaking news: Michael Hawkins is the starting quarterback for Oklahoma. That shouldn't surprise anyone.
yeah, I mean, Jackson Arnold, see ya.
Yeah.
Uh, he ain't sticking around. As
Mm-mm.
for Cade Klubnik being the guy that makes the jump,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely made a jump. I don't know if you could say it was the same level of jump.
Right.
Um, because there was guys like Kenny Pickett's leaving Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
We should bench Kenny Pickett halfway through the season, and then
Mhm.
boom, he explodes. If I'm gonna dub any quarterback that made the meteoric rise, um, anybody that's made that sort of rise this year, I'm gonna go with Haynes King from Georgia
Oh,
Tech.
okay.
Just because when he left A&M, everyone thought he was dead.
Yeah, they thought he was done.
And then just seeing, yeah, just seeing how he started the year with Georgia Tech. I mean, as of right now, he's got almost 1,300 yards. Granted, only six through the air, but what's
Mhm.
his rushing is, I mean, kind of what's keeping them in the. He's got 200 yards and four more touchdowns on the ground, so he would be my guy that's rising up the boards quickly.
I like that. That's a great take, man. D now. Truly enjoyed having you on the show, man. I wish we could have chopped it up a little bit more. I wish I'd have added a couple more topics. We kind of zoomed through this, man. Anything you
Yeah.
want to add? I know you're doing the mock draft this week. I can't wait to design a set for that. That's gonna be super fun. Tell them where they can find you, man, and what else you're working on. Also, I don't think a lot of people know you're also a high school football coach. A lot of people don't know that. So yeah, just talk to them about what you've been doing, what you've been working on.
Yeah, so like you said, I dabble in some high school football. I'm gonna get back to my roots, start writing some articles for the website. Hopefully,
Excited
doing
about that.
more
Mhm.
overreaction and Debbie again
Mhm.
with our guy Nino, and then like you said, I'm gonna try to Thursday, if possible, do a weekly mock draft.
Woo, that would be fire.
Just get ready for some hot takes, I guess.
Ah, I'm ready. Yeah, you the king of spicy takes. My Buffalo Bills looking good. It's Khalil Shakir's season.
Are they up?
Yeah, they're against a team we struggle with. Yeah, about to be 27-3,
Oh,
man.
dang, yeah, 26.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my I just got a text message from my dad. He said that Jalen Daniels is the best quarterback. My dad's a Cowboys fan, by the way. He said Jalen Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC East. I wish we had him. Cowboy fans hate that Prescott, bro. It's like a universal thing.
I
Is D
do,
now coach
Jalen. I
varsity?
am a varsity wide receiver coach.
Come on, it's D now, bro. Of course he coached varsity, bro.
Yep.
As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in the fast. That's why college football is the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. My guy D now, welcome back, man. Great job, you killed it today. Y'all
Appreciate
take
it.
care.